Welcome back, Divorced Dads of America. I'm your host, Anthony Thompson, and founder of Divorced Dads of America. We're going to talk about humiliation. We're going to talk about something, public humiliation, something you're all familiar with, something that I'm familiar with. And I'm going to unpack this and really uncover not just what that looks like for you, but what's underneath that. I want to take you back to a moment I'm not proud of. I was at a kids event, one of my kids' events. I walked in wondering what my ex had already told people about me. I was at a new school. I was at a new church. You know, I was a church guy who got divorced. I was the executive who lost everything, laid off, driving Lyft, feeling absolutely humiliated, identity stolen, and nothing was there. And so I would walk into these rooms and I would feel just like the littlest person in the room. I was just a dad going to a kid's game, but it just felt like so much weight on me. And I want to share a little bit of my story because I want to share what that felt like. And I know some of you guys are past that, and I'm through that now. And I want to tell you some things that I would tell myself about shame. Because I remember just being in that room, just carrying so much more shame that I ever carried in my life, terrified of what people thought, terrified of failing again in front of everyone. Then I had a realization that changed everything. And I want you guys to hear this. I want you to really listen carefully. I had already gone through the thing I was most afraid of. The humiliation had already happened with divorce and splitting the kids and losing my job and losing the identity, losing the notoriety of people that knew me, of being this high value Christian man. And now it just felt like I had nothing. The loss was there. It had happened. The public failure was already on record. And I was still standing. I was still alive. I was still breathing. I was still here. So I want to put this question to you because I had to put the question to me. You're still standing. You're still here. You're still listening. And for me, as I stood there, I said, what am I afraid of? And if I ask you that question today, that question is for you. What are you afraid of in this scenario and situation? What are you truly afraid of? And we're going to unpack that. Guys, listen, if you're new here, you're just getting on, do two things. If this has nudged you, helped you in any way, subscribe, follow on Spotify or Apple, leave a comment. Every time you do that, it helps me and this podcast get to another dad that's in worse shape, a dad that's drowning, a dad that's in the blender, a dad that can't seem to figure it out on his own, and he needs help. A couple clicks sends this to him without even him knowing it. I have so many guys that come like, I don't know how I found your podcast, but I found it. And it's been so helpful. It's been so beneficial. I've been able to learn these things. It's guided me. It's helped me. It's helped me to grow. You are doing that. You are doing that and sharing that. I can't do this alone. I want to transform 1 million dads and their life and legacy. I need your help to do that. If you could do those couple of things right now, you will be a part of this band of brothers who are transforming the world by transforming dads one at a time. So here's what playing safe is actually costing you. Here's what I know about every divorced dad playing it safe. He's not playing it safe because he's lazy. He's not playing it safe because he lacks ambition. He's playing it safe because underneath the caution is a calculation. The calculation sounds like this, and it's a very intelligent lie. It sounds like this: if I don't try, I can't fail publicly. If I don't put myself out there, I can't be humiliated again. If I stay small, at least I can control the size of the loss. The calculation feels rational. It feels protective. It's the most expensive decision a man can make. Listen to this. Dr. Brené Brown, love her books. I encourage you to read them all. Her research at the University of Houston, over a decade, more than 11,000 pieces of data, found this. The willingness to be vulnerable and risk failure is the single most consistent predictor of human flourishing across every domain: relationships, creativity, leadership, parenting. It's not talent. It's not resources. It's not circumstances. It's the willingness to risk. The men who play it safe are not protecting themselves, man. They're guaranteeing the outcome. They're most afraid of a life that never becomes what it was supposed to be. And here's a specific cost for the divorced dad, for you listening. Every month you play it safe is a month your kids watch a man who's capable of more, but he's choosing less. They're taking notes. Your son is watching how you respond to fear. Your daughter is learning what a man looks like when the stakes are high. What are they seeing right now? What are they seeing? Guys, that to me, that unpacked so much and exposed so much for me. It hurt. It was painful. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to look at it. But as I did and as I exposed it, it leveled me up in every facet of life. I want to talk about that fear right now. Listen carefully. I want to name, this is the fear underneath the fear. I want to name the specific fear that most divorced dads never say out loud because I lived it. It's not the fear of failure. Every man has experienced failure and survived it. What men cannot tolerate and what stops them cold is failure in front of people. It's public humiliation. For good dads, dads who care, who tried, who showed up, the divorce already delivered the public humiliation they were most afraid of. Maybe it's the court documents, the mutual friends who chose sides, the family members who heard her version before they heard yours, the church community that went silent, the professional network that suddenly did not return calls. All of those things, man, those were me. I felt ashamed going to my kids' events, ashamed that I was a church guy who got divorced, ashamed that the executive identity, the one I'd built for years, was now attached to a public failure story, and I did not fully control it. Here's what I realized looking back. I did not actually know what anyone was thinking. I was projecting a story onto people who were mostly just living their own lives. And the few who were judging me, they weren't helping me anyway. They weren't there for me. So why was I giving them power to determine how big I was willing to dream? Guys, we don't know all those stories. Most of you are assuming they're all bad and they're all toxic and everybody's talking about you and all these things. And it grows and it grows and it grows the more you think about it. And that's what I was doing. I want to give you some data about this. Psychologist Mark Leary at Duke. He said this. He found that the fear of negative evaluation from others is one of the most powerful behavioral inhibitors in human psychology. More powerful than fear of physical harm in many contexts. And critically, his research shows that people consistently overestimate how much others are watching, judging, and remembering their failures. The audience you're performing for in your head is significantly larger and more critical than the real one. You are afraid of a crowd that does not exist at the size that you imagine it. And that's what I was going through. When I heard that, when I went through that study, when my mentors and coaches dug into that with me, I realized that, you know what? Most people in this entire world is so selfish and only thinking about their life that they could really care less about yours. And the ones who do care, you know. The ones who don't care, it doesn't matter. So I want to give you a reframe that really changed everything for me. I want to give you something to shift, right? We got to change your story if we're going to change your strategy. In order to change your mindset, we need to give a new context for your mind to hinge onto, lock into, to pull you forward into the man that you're becoming. So the framework I want to give you today is called the already through it audit. Already through it audit. Here's the premise. You're afraid of things that have already happened to you, not things that might happen, things that did happen. And you survived every single one of them. So before you let fear stop you from the next move, run this audit. There's just a couple steps. It's very easy. I encourage you to get a pen or get a digital notebook, whatever you use, and do these things. Put in the work, put in the mental hours, put in the personal development. First, you have to name the fear. Not I'm afraid of failing. That's vague. We need specificity, right? Too vague for fear to do anything useful. You got to get specific. I'm afraid that if I launch this business and it fails, my ex will use it against me in court. I'm afraid that if I put myself out there, it doesn't work, the people who already doubted me will feel vindicated. I'm afraid that my kids will see me fail and lose respect for me. Name it exactly what it sounds like, what it feels like, what it looks like. Name it exactly. Your specificity matters. Number two, ask this: has a version of this already happened? Almost always is yes. The divorce was a public failure. The financial loss was real. The identity collapse happened. The people who were going to judge you, many of them already did. And you're still here. You're still building. You're still showing up for your kids. So one of my mentors and guys that I work with was Martin Seligman of the University of Pennsylvania, positive psychology. In his research on resilience, he found that humans are consistently poor predictors of how well they will cope with negative events. We overestimate how devastating failure will be, and we underestimate our capacity to recover. The technical term is effective forecasting. It's an error. You've already proven your recovery capacity. The divorce is the evidence. The rebuild is the evidence. You just are not counting it. But here's step 3, right? You got to ask, what is the actual cost of not moving? And you guys know I talk about this a lot. What is the cost? There's a cost to everything. And this is the question fear never wants you to ask, because fear makes the cost of moving feel enormous and the cost of staying feel like zero. It's not zero. Staying costs you the version of yourself you're supposed to become. It costs your kids the blueprint they were supposed to inherit. It costs the men in your community the proof they need that rebuilding is possible. And again, what you focus on grows. You've been focusing on more pain, more loss, more hurdles. What if you focused on what you have already come through? What if you've done that? What it's built in you, what you're now capable of because of it. And here's step 4. You got to make the move anyway. Not when the fear goes away, because courage happens in fear. Courage happens in fear. And the scriptures tells us to be strong and courageous. So you got to move in the fear. That is the courage that you're trying to get. It will not go away. The fear doesn't go away before you move. The fear goes away after it. Sometimes it does not go away at all, but you move anyway, and it becomes irrelevant, right? Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's a decision that something matters more than the fear. And 2 Timothy says it like this: God hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. Fear is not from God at all. Love is. A sound mind is. Every time fear is running your decisions, you're operating from a spirit that's not yours. And so I want to give you this part here as we land this plane today. What you are actually seeing versus what's real. Here's the fear, the thing that nobody talks about fear. They don't want to tell you about fear. You're not seeing your situation clearly when you're afraid. You're seeing a projection, a story, a worst case narrative that your brain constructed to protect from pain. I wasn't seeing what I'd already gone through. I was only seeing fear and more pain and more hurdles. And what you focus on will grow. And so I was just growing those things. I was focusing on loss. I was focusing on what wasn't coming in. But the moment I started to focus on what the journey had built in me, the lessons, the growth, the capacity, I now had that. Something I didn't have before. Something that was now growing inside of me. And you have to be intentional about what you focus on. That's why in the FAST system, in our school community, it starts with F, focus and faith. And neuroscientist Rick Hansen at Berkeley, he found that the brain's negative bias causes it to scan for and amplify threat signals while underweighting evidence of safety and progress and capability. It's guys, it's just how your brain is wired. It wants you to be safe. It wants you to avoid pain. That's what it's doing. However, we all know that the other side, the things we want to do, the man we want to become, it's going to go through discomfort. You already know the divorce humiliated you. The loss already happened. The thing you're most afraid of, you lived through it and you're still standing. Stop making excuses about why you won't jump. Stop making excuses that you need more time. Stop making excuses that when you get ready. These are all their lies, their excuses. They're part of a victim mindset. That's not who you are. That's not who you're becoming. If you were looking at your child and they were going through it, you would say, hey, man, come on. You got to move forward. You got to do this. I'll do it with you. I'll help you out. That's what I do with my clients. That's what part of this is about. It's getting with somebody that can pull you forward. It's getting our community that can pull you forward. I want you to name it. Name the fear. Audit it. Move anyway. The version of you that your kids need is on the other side. That's the move you got to make, man. every day you wake, every day that you wait, they grow up a little bit more without that version of you. The fullness, the joy, the peace, the abundance, the courage, all of those things, guys. And let me close with this. Builders and drifters. The difference between the builder and the drifter when fear shows up, a drifter plays it safe. He tells himself he's being smart, he's being careful, he's being realistic. But underneath the caution is a calculation he has never said out loud. If I stay small, nobody can see me fail again. And so he stays small. And the weeks become months, and the months become years, and the man he was supposed to become never shows up because he's waiting for the fear to leave before he moved. And the fear never leaves before you move. A builder runs the audit. He names the fear specifically. He asks, has a version of this already happened? And the answer is almost always yes. He asks what it costs to stay. And the answer is always more than moving. And then he moves, not because he's not afraid. Oh, he's afraid. But because he decided that his kid's blueprint matters more than his comfort. That the men watching him rebuild needed proof more than he needed safety. That the version of himself God designed was worth more than the fear could ever cost. The divorce already humiliated you, man. You already went through the worst of it. You're still here. You're still building. You're still showing up. So what exactly are you still afraid of? Guys, I want you to go build. If this episode hits you, I want you to do something today. Run step 1 of the already through it audit. Name the specific fear that's stopping your next move. Write it down. Then right next to it, has a version of this already happened? And then write, am I still here? Because if the answer to both of those is yes, you already have the answer. Follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Business guys, executive leaders, you're looking for one-on-one. Apply, reach out. There's a spot that'll be opening up soon. And I believe that it will take you into the new level, the new courage, the new discipline, the new freedom that you truly want. It's all in there. I want you to get your life back. I want you to get you back, the real you. I want your kids to see it and get the overflow of your life. That's all I got for you today, guys. I love you. I pray for you every day. I'll see you in the next one. God bless you.